Every day in communities across the country and around the world, you do difficult and often dangerous work on behalf of the American people. When a heinous crime has been committed, you are the ones to whom victims and survivors turn to seek justice on their behalf. You are the ones to whom the American people turn for help when a community is targeted by hate crimes, when a neighborhood is poisoned by toxic chemicals, when workers and consumers are harmed by corporate monopolies, when voters are unlawfully blocked from participating in our democratic process, when our country faces threats ranging from violent crime and drug trafficking to terrorist organizations and authoritarian regimes. You are the agents, prosecutors, correctional officers, victim service specialists, grant-making experts, administrative professionals, and so many others who step up when you are needed the most. In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. As of today, we have arrested and charged more than 725 defendants in nearly all 50 states and the District of Columbia for their roles in the January 6th attack. In May 2021, we launched our violent crime reduction strategy aimed at addressing the spike in violent crime that had occurred during the pandemic. Central to that strategy has been the importance of our partnerships. Partnerships among federal law enforcement agencies who are assisting the fight against violent crime, partnerships with state and local law enforcement agencies tasked with protecting their local communities, and partnerships with the local communities themselves. We are united in our resolve to bring every person responsible for fueling this epidemic to justice in an American courtroom. We are committed to breaking apart the cartels that are fueling the crisis and to ensuring that there is no hiding place for the criminals responsible for poisoning Americans with drugs. The FBI has reported that the number of homicides fell over 6% nationally between 2021 and 2022. And the Major City Chiefs Association has reported a double-digit decrease in the number of murders across 69 major cities through September 2023 as compared to the same time period during 2022.
The CDC has reported that between June of 2023 and June of 2024, that we have seen more than a 14% drop in the number of Americans that are dying from fentanyl and methamphetamine poisonings and overdoses. To put that in language that all of us understand and care about, that means that there are 14,063 fewer deaths in the United States of America.
We see nations such as China, Russia, Iran, North Korea becoming more aggressive and more capable in their nefarious activity than ever before. Defending American institutions and values against these threats is a national security priority, and it's a priority for the Department of Justice.
I'm pleased to announce that the administration is today releasing the first national strategy for countering domestic terrorism. The Justice Department has launched a task force to hold accountable Russian oligarchs and others who seek to evade U.S. sanctions. The United States has imposed sweeping economic countermeasures in response to Russia's unprovoked military invasion of Ukraine.
Competition does not just protect the markets and technologies of today, but the innovations of tomorrow. We bring this case to make sure that Apple competes by innovating rather than imposing rules and fees that prevent others from innovating and competing too. And in doing so, we protect the market for the innovations that we can't yet perceive.
Less than a year ago, the Justice Department secured felony guilty pleas from Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, and from its founder and CEO. We also obtained one of the largest corporate penalties in U.S. history. The department's actions against both Binance and TD Bank are a reminder that financial institutions in this country have an obligation to guard against criminals exploiting their services. The Justice Department will aggressively prosecute any company that fails to do so. Over the past 18 months, the Justice Department has been working to defend the reproductive freedoms that are protected by federal law. As part of that work, we are continuing to vigilantly monitor state laws and enforcement actions that threaten to infringe on women's reproductive rights. Last month, we filed a statement of interest in 2 lawsuits challenging the Alabama Attorney General's threat to prosecute people who provide assistance to women seeking lawful out-of-state abortions.
At the Justice Department, we are committed to using every tool at our disposal to combat bias-motivated violence and to hold accountable those who commit hate crimes.
Voter intimidation has no place in our democracy. The Department of Justice will protect your right to vote from violence, discrimination, and intimidation.
Today, we are filing suit against the state of Texas based on our determination that Texas's 2021 redistricting plans violate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Over the past 24 months, we have reached a total of 10 settlements with lending institutions to resolve allegations of redlining. And as I said at the outset, subject to court approval of the Ameris settlement, the Justice Department will have secured more than $100 million for communities across the country that have been harmed by discriminatory practices.
As Americans, our Constitution gives us certain basic rights when we interact with law enforcement officers. We have a right to be free from unreasonable force, a right to have other officers intervene to stop the unlawful assault, and a right, when in police custody, to have urgent medical needs appropriately addressed and not met with deliberate indifference.
I'm pleased to announce that we are launching the Justice Department's first ever Office of Environmental Justice to oversee and help guide the Justice Department's wide-ranging environmental justice efforts. Like all parts of government, it will get its own acronym, OEJ. We launched the Election Threats Task Force to respond to a dangerous increase in violent threats against the public servants who administer our elections. We did so because countless Americans were enduring terrible threats simply for doing their civic duty. And we did so because threats to election workers constitute threats to our democracy itself. The Justice Department's message is clear. We have no tolerance for attempts by authoritarian regimes to exploit our democratic system of government. We will be relentlessly aggressive in countering and disrupting attempts by Russia and Iran, as well as China or any other foreign malign actor to interfere in our elections and undermine our democracy.